If you're a creative professional, whether that's a graphic designer, a videographer, a web developer, and you're currently bidding yourself out to clients for projects, there's one big mistake that I see a lot of people making, and that is they try to compete on price. So if you're currently trying to compete on price, you need to watch this video, because in this video, I'm going to tell you why you cannot compete on price and how you can compete instead to land those projects. Let's get into the video. So competing on price, it's the big mistake that creatives make, especially entry-level creatives when they're first getting started with bidding projects and landing clients. But before we get into the two ways that competing on price can really hurt you in the long run, I want to address what competing on price actually means in the first place. Competing on price means one of two things. First off, it can mean that you as the creative professional are trying to provide services at a lower rate than all of your competition. Or the second way that you can compete on price is if you, the creative professional, are trying to offer more services at a set price point than your competition is. Using either of these two methods to compete for a job will hurt you in two key areas. And I'm going to tell you what those are, but before I do, hey, hit that like button if you enjoy this content so I know to keep making videos like this. Now, the first way that you're really going to get hurt if you're trying to compete on price is in the fact that you're going to be positioning yourself and your agency as a budget pick. This means that clients are going to look at you and think of you as the budget option in the overall market space, and they will always have that perception of you. When you win a job on price, the client is thinking of you as the best get at their current budget level. And that means when their budget level increases, they're going to go find somebody else because they want the best get at that budget level. It's not going to attract clients that are going to be long-term sustainable business for you because they're always going to view you as the cheap option. You don't want to be viewed as a cheap option. You want to be viewed as somebody who brings abundant value to a company and that they will stick with you even when their budget increases because they find value in what you offer. The other problem with being viewed as the budget pick is that those clients are going to go tell their friends that you gave them a super great design for super cheap. Nobody wants to be the person who does super great work for super cheap. That's not what we're going for, but they're gonna tell people, look at this great thing that I got for no money at all. And then they're gonna come to you expecting you to do the same thing for them. That's how you get stuck in this vicious cycle of being the budget pick for everybody. So that's the first way that competing on price is really gonna hurt you in the long run. The second way that competing on price is gonna hurt you is the fact that you can't win. There's no way for you to win on price, and here's why. There's always going to be somebody out there in the world that can do the client's work cheaper than you can. It's just a fact that in the world we live in, we have a global community. But what that means is that there's always somebody out there that's willing to take less money to do a job that you're doing. So what does this mean as an independent designer for you? Well, it means that you have to just be aware that there's other people on Fiverr and Upwork and sites like that that are gonna do work like branding or logo design, web development, app development, videography, way less than what you're charging. And that's okay, but you need to be aware that if you're competing on a price level, they can find somebody cheaper. And the odds are that if they're a client that only cares about price, they're going to find somebody cheaper. And if they think you're the cheapest option and they find somebody else cheaper, they're gonna cut you and they're gonna use somebody else. These are the two main problems with trying to compete on price and being the budget option in creative services. So what do? How do we compete? Isn't the price the only thing the client cares about? Well, I don't think it is, and here's how you can compete if you are a creative professional. In order to compete in the creative space and win big jobs, you need to showcase that you create something of value for your clients that they can't get anywhere else but you. Whether that's your specific style or your specific process, whatever it is for you that creates value for the customer. For me, I have an entrepreneurial focus, so yeah, they can find brand designers anywhere in the world. They can find a lot of brand designers that can make really cool logos. But I believe that my specialty and where I create value for customers is in being able to work with them on the entrepreneurial and business side, identify their audience, and then figure out how to brand in a way that communicates that to their customer base. So I have a very unique perspective that gives me an edge when I'm competing in the creative services. That creates value for the customer, and that makes them realize that I'm worth more than the designer on Fiverr who's offering a brand for $100. I can't compete with a $100 price. That's way too low for me. And I know that, so I have to make sure that the clients understand the value that I bring to the table. So if you're a creative professional and you're struggling with landing jobs and you think that lowering your price is the option or discounting your rate, I would argue that you're just not doing a good job communicating the value that you can bring to them. If you do a great job communicating your value as a creative, companies will pay you what you're worth. And that's going to be a relieving feeling because you're not going to have to compete with everybody else on price and worry that, my price is too high for everybody else, because you know this is the value I bring. And if somebody doesn't want to meet me at the value that I'm bringing to the table, then they don't see the vision and I don't want them as a client. If you can do a great job communicating your value, you never have to compete on price, and that'll avoid you being viewed as the budget option or you getting dumped for a cheaper option somewhere down the line. Thank you so much for joining me for this video, and if you found it helpful, go ahead and click the like and subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the content. And if you are interested in continuing to learn about brand design and creativity, go ahead and click one of these links on the screen here, and I will see you in the next video.